Bismillah, alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayh. Wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Tabaraka wa salama tasliman kasiran kasira amma ba'd. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa man ahsanu qawlan mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila salihan wa qala innani minal muslimin. My dear brothers and respected elders, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us in order for us to become the best of His creations. In terms of our shape, our forms, as well as our characters. Not only good in terms of our shape and our form, but has to be good also in our characters. And that's what it meant by the best of all creations. All creation of Allah other than man, Allah do not demand from them to have good characters. They just can have probably better form or better shape. But Allah does not demand from them better characters. So Allah loves good characters. Allah says, I do not treat death and life except to know as to whom from among you who are good in characters. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to have good character. We should spend more money and more time in doing the work of developing good characters. And good characters arises from strong iman and faith towards Allah. That is the foundation of good characters. So we should not spend more money and our time in making our shape to look better. Most women are very much infected with this disease of spending a lot of their money on making their body look nice and presentable to men. They make their shapes of their body that will allure the man, that will make the man to get attracted to them. And that's all the reason as to why women spend a lot of time and money in making the shape of their body to become attracted to whom? Just to men. They just want to make the man, become so much allured towards them, and yet cannot touch them. So when the men start to touch them, then they will fight. They say, I make my body looks good only to make you, to make you get, frustrated. They just want to make the men become frustrated. Making the men wanting to have them, but they cannot. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the woman that He will only give His body to the man whom she loves, unless she's a prostitute. But generally Allah put in the hearts of the woman that she will only give her body to be molested by the man whom she loves. But men, on the other hand, are able to do sexual intercourse or molested any woman, irrespective whether the man love or not the woman. That's why men can make sex with prostitutes. Men who are hungry of sex, having many months, not having sex, because they have moved from their country to another country, leaving their wife in search of wealth. There's many in Malaysia, people from other countries. They don't come with their wife, so they surely are hungry with sex. So who are the one who will fulfill their desires to have sex? They are the prostitutes. So in Malaysia, the market for the prostitutes are the migrant workers, and sometimes they import migrant women, they import women of their country to come here to work as prostitutes. So you find many prostitutes here from other countries. Not many from among the locals, but foreigners who come here on the visa of tourists of 30 days or 2 months. They are not tourists. They are sex workers. They are from China, from Nigeria, from Bangladesh. So they got a lot of money, and then after their visa expired, they went back to their country and then come back again. So there are many ambush has been done, and we find foreigners, women with visa of tourists, and yet doing sex work, and yet become sex workers, and so they only be fined for wrong use of visa, and then they'll be released. And who will pay for their who pay for that? The charge is the one who is in that business of recruiting women from outside the country to become sex workers. And they are very close with the police, and they usually pay the police and ask the police to tell when the time of ambush will be done, so that they will tell all this prostitutes to run away or to be in such a position where they cannot be caught. This is what is going on now in Malaysia. There are many sex workers from foreign countries. As well, there are many workers from foreign countries who make buildings, works in the rubber farm, work in the palm oil, and all sorts of work which Malaysians do not want to do. So things works on demand. If there is a demand, there will be the supply workers. Malaysia now in demand of foreign workers to come to work in the construction industry. Malaysia is continually making buildings and buildings. So they need workers. They cannot get it from the local. So they need to import. They have to recruit. And these people need sex. They are not angels who don't need to have sex. So where they get it from? That's why, besides having foreign workers, we also importing sex workers. Not the government importing, but it come by themselves because there is a need, there's a demand. My dear, it's an evil works. This becoming sex workers as the earliest industry. One of the earliest industry is to become sex workers. There are many sex workers in Mecca at the time of Muhammad SAW. They display, but the sex workers make a display showing, please come. And those travelers, businessmen from Yaman or from Syria on the way to Yaman, from Yaman on the way to Syria, they will stop in Mecca. So that's where they have sex. So the same things are happening, my dear brother. It's not something unusual. It's done long time ago. Has happened long time ago. So now how to eradicate these evils? We have not been able to eradicate it since those days until now. What has happened in Mecca also happened in Kuala Lumpur and happened in all over the world. No? There are cities that make sex an illegal sex worker to become a sex worker in an illegal profession. There are some countries in this world who allow it, who makes places for them because they can't control them. Somehow or other they will do it, either illegally or legally. This is their needs. If they doesn't make it legal, they'll do illegally. And even worse. So Rashidi and Effendi, do you visit prostitute? Effendi? Yeah. Those days when he doesn't have wife. Yeah. So only Iman, my dear friends, only Iman. Having to make, to make rules to prevent prostitute from coming here in Malaysia is not possible. How are you going to check it? Whether he come for tourists or come for sexual workout, you won't be able to detect it. Isn't it? When you go back also, you can't detect it. You think they are tourists. But they are sex workers. Hundreds, thousands of them. In Singapore also, many sex workers. They are not only made of women, they are also made of men. Men will do the other sex. I met one when I was doing Dutch in Singapore. He's not a woman, he's a man coming to Singapore for sex work, to become sex worker from Thailand. Yeah. So naturally there are also customers who wants men, not woman. Or woman wants men. So these are the things which has existed at the time, even at the time of Adam, you don't have prostitute at the time. But the two sons of Adam was having argument and because of woman. As a result of that, one of the sons was killed by another son. So the incident, the evil action of killing is as consequences of the desire to have women. So Allah has put that desire as a test. So when we don't have Iman, we fail the test. Why many people fail the test? Because they don't have faith towards Allah, who give them the order not to do sex unless to those whom you have married. They can't obey that order. Can you obey that order, Rashidi? Can you now? So this order, are not obeyed by all, by so many people, all over the world. This is something evil which they done in secret. Nobody knows. Nobody do sex openly. Things like robbery, fighting. It's openly done. That evils are visible. Bribery, and then the evils of theft, and burglaring are openly done. But this sex, the evils of doing illegal sex are invisible, not seen, done in all the rooms, done in all the hotel rooms, in the whole world. There are so many illegal sex done in Thailand, in Bali. Every night people do evil deeds. Out of that illegal sex, some, well, of course they have precautions not to get pregnant, but somehow or other, in some cases they fail to do it. The woman is still pregnant. So what they do? They will abortion. They'll do abortion, and another evil deeds come. Babies are just being killed without any reason, just because she was, or the child was, is illegal, having no father. So what a tragedy, what a crimes humans have done. Because they couldn't conquer their sexual desire, they couldn't control it. The only reason why they can't control it is because they don't have iman. Nobody knows in the whole world the reason as to why they cannot eradicate this evil. It's not only this evil can be eradicated with strong iman. In fact, all evils in the whole entire world can be eradicated if the man and the woman in the entire world are having faith towards Allah to the level, which Allah is pleased. If they have very weak iman, then they probably will fail if the tests are harder. If they don't have iman, they will fail. Only circumstances. If it is good, maybe they seem to be a good man, but when circumstances turn wild, then they immediately turn to evil men. So that's why it is so important, extreme important, to make the efforts on iman. But there is no effort of iman ever done in this world, I don't know, since when the Prophet ﷺ had passed away. The effort on iman has consequently stopped. Even the companion of the Prophet ﷺ after the demise of the Prophet ﷺ are unable to do the work which will enable them to attain strong iman. What they do? They are busy with war with the non-Muslim. So they were told they must invite them to Islam. So what they do? They will send, they send a group to see the king for 3 days consecutively, to tell them you enter Islam, or otherwise you give jizya. If you are not willing to do even this, then we'll have war with you. And that's about all. After 3 days, there's no decision from the king either to enter Islam or to give jizya, they will have war with them. That's about all they're doing. Dawah is not like that. Dawah means you have to go to everyone, not only to the king. To everyone in that, any person in that country. You just go and do dawah. You don't have any intention to fight them or to get money from them. That should be done. Groups should be sent from Mecca, Medina. Continually sent to all parts of the world doing dawah. War can only be undertaken when the groups that we send doing dawah with peace has been attacked. And then only we send armies, Then once we have conquered them, and then we ask for jizya. But we must continue doing dawah to them and stop war. We don't like war. Islam doesn't teach us to have war. I am doing the tafseer in the Quran. I can tell you exactly. Islam or Allah doesn't love war. Allah actually are reluctant to order us to have war, unless to the enemies of Allah, the enemies of the Prophet, and your enemies, Allah said. Not all Muslims are our enemies. Those who do not attack us, in order to prevent us from spreading Islam, who attack us because we have dispute over territories, are not the genuine reason to have a fight or to have a war, Like what happened now in Armenia, Azerbaijan. The Armenia want to become a country of their own. Usually that's always it's always the case that people want to get out from being colonized and to become on their own. So the Armenian people have been living in the area for thousands of years, but they are now under Turkey. Those days. So it was already for a very long time also under Ottoman Empire. So they do not want. So they want to become an independent country. So there's a war. The Malays in southern Thailand, they want to be on their own. There will be war. The Aceh people want to get out from becoming part of Indonesia. They have a war. The Muslim in southern Philippines, they don't want to be part of Philippines. They won't have the war. But Sabah has been claimed by Philippines. They won't have to war with us. So war is always now is about annexing a land or wanting to be independent from being colonized. Indonesia have a war with the Dutch and they gain independence. When the Dutch come back, they fight with them. So the Japanese had conquered Indonesia, and then when the Japanese leave Indonesia, they declare independence in 1946. Sukarno. Then the Dutch come to take over Indonesia again. The Indonesians fight with blood. So Indonesian has gained their independence with their blood and body. So they become. That's why their flags is red and white. They've gained their independence by giving their life. But Malaysian, on the other hand, getting independence with discussions, negotiations, without the sacrificing of life. So Malaysians do not really value its independence as much as Indonesians do. Those present now, even after some years of getting independent, all Malaysians are not aware that they don't get this country. They don't value having to have independence, because the independence was gained not with suffering and torture as Indonesian did. So many countries, they usually fight in order to get independence. Even Americans get independence from the British. They fight the British. Americans are not in, but it's a colony land also, not a master. So there are many countries, who fight in order to get independent. But Malaysia and some other countries don't, but not many. Because everybody wants land. They don't want to give the land that they have to others. Even though the people who live in that land is totally different from them. Like the Turks and the Armenians. They are not Turks, they are Armenians. They have different languages. The dispute in Kashmir. The Kashmir people want to rule their own. But India and Pakistan say no. We split you into two. One for Pakistan, one for India. Peace and tranquility will only come to the subcontinent of India unless both India and Pakistan want to give independence to the Kashmir. Of course, they speak Urdu, they are Muslim, but yet they said we are totally different race. There are many races in Pakistan, not only Pushto, but to keep them intact as one nation is a very difficult task. Similarly, also in Malaysia, although we have basically the same race, Malay, but the people of Johor, they got ideas of becoming independent. The people of Sabah, people of Sarawak, all that voices of trying to get self-independence, self-ruling, is being heard all over the world. These are one of the effort made by the government of any country in the world is to keep their country intact. Like Spain, the richer part of Spain wanting to get independent from Spain. Which part is that? Katarina or something like that. So, how to keep people united? There's no other way, unless to make them in love with each other, in love of Allah. They're not in love with land, in love of material wealth. If people are in love with the material wealth, they will quarrel. Definitely, they'll try to have their own state, to rule their own state, But to disguise their intention of getting this world, they say we fight for our freedom. We fight to uphold Islam. We fight, so that we can do whatever we like to do. But it's not that. It's the desire. For the material things are so highly contaminated in their body, which make them eager and willing to die for the sake of securing material wealth. So this is not what Allah has meant, and the reason as to why Allah has created us. To fight, to struggle, to kill each other, because we want to amass wealth. This is not the reason, my dear. I make the tafseer of Quran. I've never been any sentence, any line. I order you to fight so that you can get wealthy. No. There is no order to fight. Not even I order you to fight, to force people to become Muslim. No. We cannot force people to become believer. What more to? Fight them so that they become believer. Because wrongly understood, there's some Muslim who say, the non-Muslim, all non-Muslim are our enemies. This is very wrong. This is very wrong to say that those who do not want to believe in Allah and to believe Prophet is our enemies. Allah has given the choice. You can become the one who don't believe in me. I will still feed you with food as I have promised to sustain you. But you don't fight them. You don't try to stop. If you are trying to stop the propagations of this kalima, you attack the people who want to propagate this kalima, then I will order them to attack you. Once you attack them. That's all the war is allowed in Islam. war has never been allowed in Islam. The one that the companion Sahaba have done is not being ordered in the Quran. It's not being shown by the Prophet Muhammad. The last, before he died, there is a war against people of Mecca. There's no fighting. Only Rasul Salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also do not want. You know why? Their peoples, the peoples of Mecca are not all Muslim, are not all believers. There are some very adamant enemies of Islam living in Mecca. But amidst them, there are believers also. There are people who secretly keep their belief in Mecca. So Allah do not order, Allah do not even send punishment to the people of Mecca. Because they are believers there. If otherwise, surely Allah will punish them as Allah has punished people of the past who have go against their prophets. All the people of the past have gone against their prophet. Allah told the prophets to leave that place, and then Allah turned the place upside down and destroy the entire enemies of Allah. But Allah doesn't do that to Mecca because there are Muslim believers living amidst them. There are many of them. Then when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Prophet to conquer Mecca, not in fighting, because there is fighting, some believers will be killed. So he has conquered Mecca with peace. He told everybody at home will be safe. Everybody in Masjid al-Haram will be safe. Those who are in the house of Abu Sufyan will be safe. And the whole army of Prophet Salam, the believers entered Mecca with peace. No one being killed, no fight, no war. No houses are being burned, no women has been, molested. And being, no criminals, no burning. Even Hindu at that time, the wife of Sufyan, was amazed. They say that Mecca has been conquered. They say, what? I cannot hear any noises, any shouting here and there, no burning. Mecca has been conquered? Yes. So he left her house, walking slowly towards Masjid al-Haram. Then he saw people making tawaf, glorifying Allah, making dua, to give guidance to the people of Quraysh. Oh, they said, these are very good people. Why we fight against them all this one? Oh, I don't understand. They are the men of peace, who want peace, who don't want to have war, who want to kill people. We do not want to kill the people who are unbelievers to die as believers. They are not our enemies when they are not our enemies. Understand? Not all non-believers in this world are our enemies. The enemies, Allah says, is my enemies, then will be your enemies. If it's not my enemies, it will not be your enemies. If you are quarreling because of worldly things, they are not my enemies. This non-Muslim. Like the non-Muslim in Thailand, non-Muslim they are not my enemies because they are quarreling to acquire land from you. They are your enemies. Don't fight. For the sake of getting this material world, don't fight. So Malaysians are very close to the doing things which are desired by Allah, getting their independence without fighting. This is one of the good examples that Malaysia has portrayed to the world, which they don't know. Then we don't need war. So whatever is, for example, now Philippines claims Sabah as their territory. We shouldn't fight the Philippines. We should tell the Sabah people, do you really want to be with Philippines, the poor country? We make a memorandum, getting some decision from them. If the whole Sabah people want, all the while you can go. There's no reason why we should keep Sabah when they want to be with Philippines. If only few people want to go to Philippines, then we say you go like yourself. There must be at least 2/3 of them wanting to be with Philippines. Then we give Sabah independence. We shouldn't fight, kill people just because of land, because of property, because of wealth, because of gold, because of oil. This has no value in the eyes of Allah Ta'ala. Actually, Muslim, the true believers, will never wage war to anyone because of material things. They say, if you want, you take it lah. But having war, no. We will not do it. Because it's not worth it to kill ourselves only to earn this material world. It has no value. The material world has no value. The reason why we make war with each other because of the material thing, because to us, material things are so valuable and so desirable that make us willing to kill and send our troops, like Americans, sending troops all over the world to make them kill and die for the sake of their country, their president, to be known as the savior of the world, the police of the world. For what? For what all these names are? It's all for nothing. So my dear brothers, Islam is truly the religion that desires to have men to have peace with each other, and men will only have peace with each other when men have iman and belief towards Allah, who looks at good characters, good action as something very valuable, very, very valuable, and who looks at the material things of the world to be so invaluable that Allah says, and the Prophet ﷺ said that even if you have the wealth of this world twice, it has no value to Allah. It cannot even make you to obtain even the smell of paradise. So if this has incurred, it has been in our heart, the belief, we will never be fighting, quarreling, killing each other, burning each other, selling our body, as the prostitute does, for the sake of getting this world. It has no value. What is value to Allah is iman and good deeds. And this we have to work and giving our time and sacrifice and to spread this to the whole world until the whole world will have the desire to strive hard in order to obtain iman and good actions. When the men, in the whole world are having desire towards iman and action and not towards wealth, then there will be peace and happiness in the entire world. Okay, guys.